Now we've got the enemies working as well as the map loaded, so the next thing to do is add in turrets. We will create this in another file, so I've already set up this turret.py file, which you'll need to create and put it in the same folder as the rest of your code. And we'll start this as normal, import Pygame as PG, and then create the turret class. This turret class is also going to inherit from the sprite class. So the same as the enemies, I'm going to add this pg.sprite.sprite in the brackets. Then I'll create my constructor, which is the init method, and I will pass self, then the image that we will use for the turrets, and the pause variable to position them. Then in this constructor, because I'm adding inheritance, I need to call the sprite class's init method. We'll say pg.sprite.sprite, and then call the init method here, and pass self as the argument. And now we can assign those arguments into these variables. I'll say self.image is equal to image, then self.rect is going to be derived from this image, so we use the get_rect method, and lastly self.rect.center is going to be at this variable pause. So now all of these arguments are saved as these variables. Now we go back into our main file and make sure that we import this turret class. I'll say from turret import turret with a capital T. Next we'll go down here and load in the image. I'll add a comment to say individual turret image for mouse cursor. Later down the line we will use sprite sheets, but for now I just need one still image of the turret. So we'll say cursor turret is equal to pg.image.load, and it's going to be in assets images turrets, and it's cursor underscore turret.png, and then we add convert alpha in the end. So far this is very similar to how we set up the enemies, and likewise I'm going to create a group for the turrets. I will say turret underscore group is equal, in fact I'll just copy this down from above, so I just need this section here that it's equal to pg.sprite.group. Now that all of that is set up, let's actually create turrets. This is going to be done by clicking. So we go into the event handler and we look for a mouse click event. So I'm going to do it underneath this quit event. I will add a comment to say mouse click, and we'll check in the same way as the quit event. We'll say if event type is equal to, and the one we're looking for is pg.mouse button down. So this has to be all in caps. But I don't want this to be just any mouse button. This has to be a left click. So I'll add a second check, which is event.button is equal to button number 1, which is the left mouse button. So if those conditions are met, then we can create a turret. To create a turret, we'll just say turret is equal to the turret class, and then we pass in the arguments. The arguments it needs are the image and the position. Well, the image is easy enough. We've loaded that in. That is the cursor turret. But then for the position, we're going to be positioning these turrets at the location of the mouse. So first of all, I need to get the mouse coordinates. So here I'm going to say mouse underscore pause is equal to pg.mouse.get underscore pause. So this will return the x and y coordinates of the mouse, and I can then pass that in as an argument here, mouse pause. Once the instance is created, we need to add it into the group. So we'll say turret group.add the individual turret. And lastly, to be able to actually see them, we need to call the draw method on that group. So I'll say turret group.draw onto the screen. Now if I click somewhere, you can see I can place down these turrets. Now we can develop this a little bit further. For a start, although this is all working fine, eventually this game window is going to get a little bit bigger because I'm going to have a menu on the right hand side. I don't want to be able to click there and place turrets. I only want to be able to restrict that to this actual map. So I need to add a little check in here. Once we've taken the mouse position and we've worked out the coordinates, I'll add a comment to say check if mouse is on the game area. So I need to check mouse pause 0, which is the x coordinate, and I need to make sure that that is less than the screen width. And likewise, I need to check that the mouse position at index 1, which is the y coordinate, is less than the screen height. So if those conditions are met, then that means that the mouse is only on top of the tile map. If we go outside of the game area and try and click on the menu area, then there's not going to be any turrets placed. The next thing that I want to address is that this is a tile game, But right now I can click pretty much anywhere and just stack these turrets right next to each other. What I want to be able to do is only put them into individual tiles. So essentially I need to split the game up into a grid, just like it is in a tile map, and only allow the turrets to be placed in one point on that grid, not right next to each other like this. This is going to require a few more checks, and I don't want to fill my event handler with all those checks. So what I will actually do here is move this stuff into its own function. So I'm going to cut this out of here, and I will call a function called create turret, and I will pass the mouse position into it. Now I can scroll up a little bit before my main game loop, and let's just do it up here, just above creating the world. I'm going to define this function. So create underscore turret, it takes the argument of mouse position, and I will paste what I just cut out back into here. So this should run just as it did before. I'm able to place the turrets just in the same way. But now I can expand this function a little bit. So I have my mouse position, which means I have the X and Y coordinates of that. I can now divide that by my tile size to turn it back into the individual grid squares. So let's say mouse tile X is equal to mouse position at index 0, so the X coordinate, and we'll do floor division divided by the tile size. Then we'll repeat this for the Y coordinate. So I'll just replace this with Y, and I'll replace this index with 1. Now instead of passing the mouse position, we can pass those two individual variables one by one. So we'll pass in the tile X variable and then a tile Y variable. We go back into the turret to update that, so we'll replace pause with tile X and tile Y. Then we will assign those arguments to self variables. So self tile X is going to be tile X, and we'll do the same for the Y coordinate. And then here I will need to basically do the reverse of what I've just done. So I'll add a comment to say calculate center coordinates. So I take those self.tile variables, multiply them back by the tile size to work out the X and Y coordinates. So we'll say that self X is equal to self.tile X multiplied by my tile size variable. Now I need to import the constants module into here. So at the top I'm going to say import constants as C. So now I'll be able to access this tile size variable. I can do the same thing for the Y variable. And now, because I don't have this pause variable anymore, I'm going to replace that with the two individual self.x and self.y coordinates. Okay, so let's see what this actually does. Now every time I click, you notice that I'm not able to put them wherever I want. So now they are arranging themselves into a grid. They don't seem to be positioning very well. There is still something else that we need to work out, but you can see now that the placement of these is now based on a grid. The reason they're not being positioned in the center of each grid point is because when I'm multiplying these values back out again, I'm getting the edges. So I'm getting the left edge with this X coordinate, and I'm getting the top edge with this Y coordinate. I need to add another half a tile size to each of these, which will allow me to put this exactly in the center. So to do that, I'll just need to add brackets around these, add on a half, and close the brackets before I multiply. So now, if I was to test this again, I should end up with each of the turrets appearing right in the center of each of its grid point. You may have noticed though, there's another little issue that we need to address. So although now all of these turrets are lining up nicely based on grid positions, I'm able to fill them into this green space where they should go, but I'm also able to put them on the dirt path where the enemies walk. And obviously I don't want to be able to put them there. I want that area to be restricted and only place turrets on all of these green tiles. But to be able to tell the difference between the dirt path and the grass tiles, we need to once again go back into our level data and to this JSON file. Because this first layer here that contains the data, well, that's actually our tile map. And I know from working with this tile map that the number 7 corresponds to the grass tiles. In fact, you can see as I've highlighted them here, that the outline is all the grass tiles, number 7. So what I need to do is before I place down a turret, I need to check if the value of that tile is a 7 or not. If it is, then that's okay. But if not, then I can't place a turret there. In the previous section, we looked at how to process this JSON file. So actually, within our world class, we already have this process data function. we just need to add to it a little bit. This first section here iterates through the layers and it looks at them one by one. So down here, we're checking for the waypoint layer, but for the tile map, I need a different one. I need the one that says tile map. So I'm going to add another check here. So before we do that check, we'll say if layer name is equal to, and this time is the tile map. If it is, then we just need to take this data variable because it's already a list that contains all the tile map data. So we can just extract that straight into a variable. We'll create an empty list up here, say self.tile_map is equal to an empty list, and then we can assign to it here. We can say that that self.tilemap is equal to the layer that we've just extracted from the JSON file at index data. But now we don't want to have two if statements in a row, so we'll change this one to an elif. Now let's take a look and see what this data actually looks like. So once I process it, I'm going to print out the tile map. And when we run this, we will see the output down here. In the JSON file, it kind of looked like it was arranged into a grid, so you can see the individual rows and columns. But you notice that at the end of it, it's just a comma. It doesn't close a list and then create a new list underneath. So in reality, from here to here, it's just one big long list. I can't differentiate between rows and columns here. So for example here, I can see that this is row 2. But in this data list, there aren't any rows. This is just a sequential value, a sequential index within the list that comes after this one. So I'm going to have to work out my rows and columns and then manually use those to work out the sequential order of that point. So we'll need to make a couple of changes into this create turret function. I'm going to add a comment here to say calculate the sequential number of the tile, and we'll say mouse tile num is equal to mouse_tile y multiplied by c.cols, because I know how many columns are in each of my rows, and onto that I will add mouse tile x. And now that I know which index value it is that I'm clicking on, I can compare that against this level. So I can check, is it a 7 or is it not? So we'll add a comment here to say check if that tile is grass, and that tile data is stored in our world class. It's this tile map variable. So we'll say if world.tile_map at index value mouse tile number. If that's equal to a 7, then that means that we've clicked on grass. So that means we can put a turret down. And I'm just going to move this stuff up here and add more indentation to it. I don't need an else, because if I'm clicking on something that's not grass, then I simply do nothing. So if I test this now, I can still create my turrets down here on the grass. But as soon as I click on the dirt, I can't do it anymore. Even on the edges of the dirt, I have to go outside and click on the actual green space around it. Now the next issue that I want to tackle isn't actually very clearly obvious. So as I'm clicking here, you can see that I'm just creating a single turret. I'm not adding anything else. But we can't really tell what's going on underneath that. What I would like to do in here is just temporarily print the length of that group. So we'll print out our turret group. And now as soon as I click, it says group with 1 sprite. If I click here, I've got 2 sprites, 3 sprites, 4, and so on. But if I just click on the same point again, it still keeps going up. So although we can't see them individually because they're drawn right on top of each other, I'm actually adding turrets all in the same location. I want to be able to limit that so that I can only add a turret if the space is free. So that means that I need a secondary check here. We'll get rid of this print statement. And before we put the turrets down, first of all, we've checked that yes, it's grass. So that means that we can put a turret down. But then we need to check that there's not already a turret there. So a comment to say check that there isn't already a turret there. And I'll begin this by defining a variable called space is free. I'll set this to true. So we begin with the assumption that that space is indeed free. And then we're going to iterate through all of the turrets that we've created. So for turret in turret group, we iterate through each one and then we check the position of that turret. So if there's any turrets that are positioned at the mouse, then that means that that space is already taken. We'll say if, and then we will combine the mouse tile x and y into a tuple. So mouse tile x, mouse tile y. If that tuple is equal to an equivalent tuple from the turrets, so turret.tile_x, then turret dot tile underscore y, then that space is free variable becomes false, because that means that there is a turret already there. And then all we do, we'll add a comment here to say if it is a free space, then create turret. And I just need to add an if statement here. So if space is free is equal to true, then we can put down a turret. Otherwise we do nothing. To test this out, let's just go down to the main game loop and just anywhere, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to print out that turret group. So when I run this, I'm getting 0 sprites. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if I keep clicking on the location of the existing turrets, nothing happens. I can't put down any more turrets because it detects that there's one already there. Now I can get rid of this turret group statement, and the only thing I would like to tidy up here is the variable naming. Because I've got this for loop here where I'm iterating through the turret group and I'm using turret as my statement, I'm going to change this down here to new turret, and when I add it to the group, that's also the new turret. Let's just double check that everything works, and it seems to be working fine.